In chapter 17, we see that one of the most solemn and yet beautiful truths in the Bible is that of the second coming. In this chapter, I outline some of the characteristics of it, as well as the historical events that precede it, which when matched with the corresponding prophetic predictions, show that Jesus' coming is very close. Join us as we continue this journey through the book Great Controversy that shows that the battle between good and evil involves every person on this planet. This book will guide your present and change your future. Ever since Adam and Eve, the doctrine of the second coming has been central to all believers, as men and women throughout generations have looked forward to this event. In the Old Testament and the New Testament, there are frequent references to the second coming, with one estimate being there are 2,500 mentions of it throughout Scripture. In Isaiah chapter 25 and verse 8 and 9, we are told he will swallow death in victory. In Matthew 25 and verse 31, we're told the Son of Man will come in his glory. And in Revelation 11 and verse 15, we're told that he will rule forever and ever. The second coming has been the hope of all believers throughout the ages. The hope of Jesus' return has provided encouragement to the persecuted followers of Jesus through some of the darkest moments of Christian history. All the major reformers look forward to the return of Jesus. Martin Luther said, "This wicked world cannot suffer much longer." John Calvin, John Knox, Melanchthon, Latimer, and Ridley all echoed the same thought in words of their own. The Apostolic Church, the church in the wilderness, and the major reformers longed for the return of Jesus. The prophecies point forward not just to the reality and manner of his return, but also they give us clues and signs to know when it is near. Mark 14, Luke 21, and Revelation 6 prophesied of the dark day, the great earthquake, the moon turning to blood, and the stars falling. In 1755, the great earthquake of Lisbon was recorded, though in some ways that's not an accurate description. Though it's true the impact was felt greatest here in Lisbon, it was also felt across much of Europe, Northern Africa, and even as far afield as the Americas, the Caribbean, and Greenland. In Africa, the impact was almost as great here as Lisbon, with the cities of Algiers being destroyed almost completely, and many cities along the northern African coast and the Spanish coast suffering greatly. Here in Lisbon, the sea level rose 50 feet higher than normal, and 60,000 people were killed in the first 6 minutes alone. Sadly, many people came to churches such as this one, the Carmel Convent, for protection, but they, along with nearly all the major buildings in the city, were destroyed, along with a quarter of the houses. The next sign to be fulfilled was the darkening of the sun, moon, and stars, and this took place on the 19th of May, 1780. This event occurred primarily in the northeast region of the United States of America, and it happened in the middle of the day. The darkness was so thick that one could not see one's hand in front of one's face. Schools were dismissed, men returned from working in the fields, and birds and animals went to sleep as if it was night. Just before the usual sunset, the sun reappeared in clear brightness, and then that night the moon shone red like blood. People who witnessed this supernatural event wondered, what does this mean? Jesus warned his followers that knowing the signs was not enough, and admonished us to watch and pray that we might be accounted worthy to stand before him. Jesus showed his followers the time frame of his return, that we might know the events as they happen, but he does not want us to be stargazers fixated on events, because the real preparation is in our hearts. Before the first coming of Jesus, there were many signs and prophetic predictions, but most people missed these because they had a false interpretation based on their own misguided dreams. May we be mindful of the signs of Jesus' return, but at the same time, may the real preparation be in our hearts, and may we surrender these to Jesus, ready to meet him.